One last place. Uh, hey, hey, hey. So today's live, we're discussing business payment methods and how to protect yourself this time of the year, especially as a business that sells products or services against the potential of fraud disputes, right? That is a really big issue, and Instagram is going to be late to the party. My apologies because I can't figure out how to get it open real quick. So that's going to be the discussion today, and it's really imperative. A lot of people, they're doing something that is really, really important. A lot of people are getting out of the DME culture as a business, and they're getting out of the Cash App exclusive business model, which is amazing, right? But we are now being presented with a even more important issue, and that bigger issue is the fact that a lot of people. One second, you all. That bigger issue is um that bigger issue is the fact that a lot of people don't realize, in the event you sell products or services that are pre-existing. What does that mean? That means anything that you sell that does not require for them to put in a custom order, like a birthday cake. Like if you don't sell birthday cakes, if you don't sell um, custom apparel where it requires specified, it's been designed from scratch on the behalf of that consumer, then in those situations, what you really need to be doing is creating yourself a catalog, right? So the fact that Facebook now lets you ultimately be able to sell from every single image or video you upload, a lot of people are starting to create the catalog. So they're realizing they have to have a list of inventory, and they also have to have the necessary details and pricing and link for it to be able to get purchased straight from there. And that's great, right? So you're doing it for Facebook, but a lot of people aren't doing it for their own businesses. So there are a lot of people who accept Square payments, but or PayPal payments, and they literally key in or Cash App payments, and they literally just key in the dollar amount right at that point of purchase. And so the issue with that is, if you've ever made a Square payment to somebody for a product or service, right, on the spot with your card or whatever, and you actually opted to have the receipt emailed to you or text to you, um, if you look at it, it's going to say one or two things. It's going to say custom something, custom purchase or custom item or something, and it won't actually pinpoint which you purchased at all. Or in the event you do a transaction with somebody like our business, you're going to know exactly what you bought, similar to any retail store. Like you go to a Target or Walmart or whatever, unless it's like marked down manager special items or something like that, 9 times out of 10, you know exactly what you bought because it says it on the receipt in detail. And so for all those business owners out there, right, we put a big emphasis on ROI. So 9 times out of 10, if you're taking heed to our ROI model using cashback credit cards, then you also know that gives you added protection as a business owner. That gives you dispute eligibility. It makes it super easy in the event of anything taking place that your credit financer will handle it, reverse the expense, all of these things, and you'll be in the clear. And it has a pretty effective timeline if you're with the right types of credit card providers, right? So in situations like that, if you don't recognize a transaction on your statement, the first thing is going to be, oh, somebody must have slipped something in, or it may slip a person's mind, right? A lot of people, if they're purchasing something from you, 9 out of 10 products are for that instant gratification. So if it's for that instant gratification, it's like a quick meal. It's like a snack. It's like something that they can play with or deal with right then and there, but it doesn't have sustainability. So if they bought that 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago at this random event where they did a lot of this type of shopping, they're not going to remember something, and they're going to assume it was a fraudulent transaction. So what's going to happen? Because you as the business owner, didn't create your catalog, didn't have detailed itemized information when it was time to start checking people up, ringing people out, processing payments, what happens is they don't recognize the name, because a lot of businesses, their business formally structured under one name, but they're providing service under another one, right? So you really, in that situation, you really need to be able to detail what you're selling, right? Because for our stop shop, for example, we're our stop shop, but we also do staffing, and we put an emphasis on our staffing through our stop shop. Obviously, if you understand North Carolina's business modeling law, a staffing agency can't also be a retail company. Like, they can't coexist. So we have a second entity that actually does the staffing for that agency, and the payroll goes through that company and things like that. But you got brought on through our stop shop. So it's one of those situations where you see that check, you're like, if you don't know the business model, you might be like, I have no idea who sent me this money. Like, this might have been an issue or something like that. But in the opposite end, right? Our stop shop conducts courses with the information being provided from Shift Performances. So depending on how you heard about it, you may see a transaction for a course purchase and it says our stop shop, but you knew about Shift Performances. Okay, so that easily, if it doesn't clearly state this is the Get Your Life course, live virtual course, it's easy to be like, oh, that $75 was, now I don't know what that is, and dispute it, because that's well within your right. You're oblivious, or you don't recall making the payment, and there's no clearly outlined details reminding you of exactly what the payment was made for. It's really important. It takes time. I'm not gonna pretend like it doesn't. It definitely takes time. It takes time for you to pinpoint your pricing model up front. So you can't be so go with the flow with how you charge your customers. You have to know what your numbers are for you to be able to create a catalog like that. It takes you being able to have concrete details to acknowledge, right? So if it's a physical product, it has an image that you can capture. It requires having those images for every product, every style. If there are variations, to be able to identify those, identifying sizes, if that's a factor. It's more often than not, the specific size isn't going to matter. If it's a Jack and Jill jumper and you sell it from extra small to 4X, like, being able to identify every single size isn't going to be needed in your catalog, but you need to be able to acknowledge Jack and Jill jumpers. If it comes in several colors, they need to be able to acknowledge those several colors, because what's going to happen is, for every time you make a transaction and somebody's swiping, and the only thing they have to show connected to your company or a company that you may own is custom order $40, custom order $20. And then it may not even be a name connected to anything. A good example of this was Saturday, right? We did the vendor event in Charlotte. But after the vendor event, we also attended 2 events, right? One of those vendor events we attended, that's where we got dinner. So we got dinner from this person. They accept cards, right? We're really big on the ROI. So 9 times out of 10, you're gonna, unless it's a last resort situation, I'm not gonna be inclined to do business with somebody that I have to pay in cash, or I have to go through Cash App for. I prefer to do it with my credit cards. It's added security for me in the event anything really was wrong, right? So we bought. What did we buy? What did we have for dinner that night?
Yeah, shrimp, mac and cheese, corn on the cob.
Yeah. So we had this soul food. Yeah. And so it was cool. It was really cool. The food was good. That's not the point of this conversation, but it was. And so she let us pay with the card. I swiped the card. Um, and then when we got home, I was going through the receipts from all the stuff that happened that day. And this, mind you, this was food. So I expected to see some type of cuisine or reference to restaurants or food or something in the title of that transaction. And it was like a $25 transaction. So when I'm looking through and I'm like, where did we spend $25 for, connected to a production studio? Like, what is this? And we're really now having to pretty much go over everything we did that day, every transaction we made that day on any card, to figure out who the source of it, because guess what? When I look at the receipt, it says $25. It says Production Studios, something as the company name, and then it says custom order. What custom order? We didn't customize anything, or we didn't do anything that required that much of a specialized situation. And so so in that occurrence, luckily for us, we were able to like timestamp it and pimp and track down exactly what that transaction is. But for the average person, they're not going to care enough to do it. They're just going to be like, oh no, I think this is fraud. Let me just dispute this real quick and save myself the headache. So it's really, really important. Like, first, the number one piece of advice is, if you are still one of those businesses that are only accepting Cash App or cash transactions, my number one piece of advice to you is you need to get you some type of a merchant account. That's going to be at the top tier of the list. One that adds extra security and protection for you, despite it feeling that way. And it also gets your documents in order, because they just passed more stimulus for businesses, and that will benefit you to have the records. A lot of people couldn't take advantage of any of the previous stimulus because they had no proof of the business they were claiming to own or run. Two, if you do have a merchant's account, it is time for you to put in the work, if you have not already, to get your catalog of business products or services added to it. That is not a negotiable. One, it allows for customers to know, it legitimizes the way you look and the products and services you offer, right? It allows for people to have a clear point of reference of what they're looking for if they want to refer others to you to purchase that because somebody liked it, or somebody wanted to know the name of it or something like that, to figure out how to track it down, right? So that's the second thing. Thirdly, it allows for you to be protected, right? So if you aren't taking heed to this stuff, but the people who are teaching to use their credit cards and cater towards using cash back for ROI are taking heed to our stuff, they now have the protection of their credit card provider to dispute and get rid of any transactions that they don't recognize and they can't pinpoint the source of. But you, because you don't have a concrete list of exactly what they purchased from you, when it's time for you to say, oh no, this was a valid transaction, you don't know what you sold them. You have no clue. There are no records of it. You don't have a catalog that details it. You don't have any type of tracking system. And even if you do have a tracking system, it's your word against theirs. And the thing that you don't want to have to deal with in the midst of all of the shopping sprees, right, happening around the holidays, but then the buyer's remorse when January hits and nobody has money in the accounts, is people trying to figure out what money they can get back real quick. It protects every side simultaneously, and that is really, really important, because certain businesses, they break even or they see their profit for the year from the end of the year holiday shopping. So if you were in the red all year and you are only in the black right now, or are seeing a profit, because so a website is fine, but it is super important for your website to be modeled in a way where it caters towards allowing for you to have a record keeping system on the back. And if you do have a website, my desire for anybody that does have a website is you have the listing, your content, whatever your products or services are on your website, are clearly stated. I'm gonna give you a good example from a website. Okay. So there are a couple of, social media has turned into something that a lot of Black and small businesses are monetizing, right? Their social media pages, their following. It's a lot of features that unlock on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook once you hit certain numbers of followers on your pages, on your business pages. Okay. And so there are people who monetize them having that following for ad space and things of that nature. A good example of that was we were we chose not to buy Facebook ads or Instagram ads directly. We chose to just support small businesses that were offering promotional services through their social media pages, and they synced up with what we genuinely represented economic empowerment for Black communities, education, equipment, and elevation, right? So one of the things we bought an ad package, I believe, for like $15 or something from this one person's social media page. We didn't buy it directly from them. They had a website. Their website, it listed their ad services. Now, here's the issue, right? We redeemed, it was supposed to be like a package of like 3 ads. And so after the first ad, we had no issues with the first ad. The first ad was redeemed, it was done, and it was honored the way it was supposed to. By the time it was time to do the second ad through this specific page, her response, and I'm assuming it was a her, but her response was, "Oh, you have to buy a different ad package to use that one, because the one you initially purchased is only catered towards this." And so when I went back and looked, she said, "I apologize for the confusion." But when I went back and looked, there was nothing that stated that. There were no specifics in the ad package breakdown that identified the differences. There were no specifics that said this excluded anything detailed, right? There were no variants, like clear indicating variants. So it became a situation where it was like, well, I don't need it for that. That's not beneficial to me. That doesn't sync up with my business requirements or needs. So I was like, well, you can just prorate it for the service that was redeemed and refund the difference, because it's worthless, right? And I read the fine print. It wasn't any confusion on my side. It was lack of clear details about the products and services being offered on their side. And so the person was unresponsive. So what did I do? I paid with a credit card. I disputed it with the merchant. I did not dispute it to take all of the money away. I disputed the difference. And I had that protection because this is what I purchased. This is what it stated. This synced up with what I assumed that I purchased. This is what this person said after the facts, because of them not doing their job effectively as a business when it came to the products and services they offer, you know? And so even if you have a website, it's still necessary for you to go in and do that work. I spent hours today, right? We did this huge 12-hour flash sale yesterday with this huge promotion. We had to postpone an event that was supposed to a pop-up shop that was supposed to happen yesterday because of inclement weather. That was fine. The team came together. We made an executive decision. Okay, we're not going to lose all the potential revenue from that pop-up shop in the holiday shopping season. So we decided to do our own 12-hour flash sale where we pretty much was charging and incentivizing it based on people being at a pop-up shop and coming across us, right? We charged the exact same prices. We offered expedited shipping. So all of those packages went out today that were ordered within that 12-hour span. And we offer shipping complimentary, priority shipping complimentary. So everybody will have those things by Wednesday, Thursday at the very latest, but they should have them by Wednesday, you know? And so in that situation, I had to detail it. This is exactly what's included. We had to acknowledge exactly what date those were being shipped out, exactly what time that ended. And then boom, guess what? The team was like, "Oh, I liked doing that. That was very effective for us." And they said we should do it again, but we're not going to do it to that extent. That was to really just make up for the fact that something that people may have been expecting to attend no longer could. So we had to pretty much restructure our whole model. We had to now incorporate the fact that shipping is an expense. It's like an $8 to $10 expense per package, you know? So that was something we had to add on. We had to modify every single pricing. We had to also, because we're going to implement it to this new flash sale, we're going to implement it to the end of the year. We had to now go in and modify the dates on it. I mean, the pricing and the direct links on every single Facebook catalog item we have. So it redirects them to the best incentive from us, right? It's tedious. It is very annoying, but guess what? Once it's done, it's done. And so it puts you in a position where you now have way more leverage. It puts you in a position where if anybody purchases your stuff, That transaction shows up clear as day. So it's not a situation where they were confused about what they purchased. It's not a situation where they're disputing it because it's like, oh no, I didn't get that. Well, you're going to get concrete tracking information, because that's why we do the priority the priority shipping, because it comes with tracking information. So you can see exactly when it left. You can see it. You have now the accountability to be able to hold us accountable every step of the way. We said we're going to ship it within 24 hours or within one business day. In the event it happens on a weekend or something, boom, you're going to see that tracking information is created. You're going to get a notice about that. You're also going to be able to now see it go from whatever post office we dropped it off at to where it's now at in the system. So it allows for a lot of accountability to be there every step of the way. And you now understand why that price may conflict any extent, right? So we're still offering you the discounted rates on the item, but you're now paying the shipping, but you know exactly what that shipping cost is attached to, because it's clearly outlined there. And so it's really important to make it easy as possible for people to support your business. I asked that when we saw, like, what was that? You remember that picture where the girl was selling the fruit, and the customer standing right there, and she said, "How much is this?" And the girl said, "DM me, inbox me for prices," or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so I said, how easy do you make it for people to support your business? Right? It's not their place to have to seek out clarification on something that don't look right with the way you're publicizing or conducting your business. It's your responsibility to say, how easy do I make it for this to be done with or without me being there to walk you step by step through the process, to be able to let you know, oh, that's what it means, for people to be able to say, yeah, that's what I want to buy. Like, I messed up. I meant to buy something else. It's like, no, you need to have it in a way where it's like people can support your business, and every dollar you make is a dollar that's going to stay in your pocket, not just there as an Indian giver type of trick. Like, you want to make sure that anything you see is guaranteed to stay. Like the Walmarts and the Targets and the Rosses and stuff, they can afford to do refunds at the drop of a hat every day on the hour. Like, if you're a small business, every dollar that somebody disputes is taken away from something. Every dollar, if I didn't have the necessary infrastructure with this 12-hour sale, right? Even if a person needed a refund, I'm still out of that shipping cost. Like, we're out of that shipping cost for every single package. You get it? Because it was free shipping, but it was not free for us. So it's little things like that can have a huge impact on your overhead by not just doing little things. Like, it's annoying. I'm not going to pretend like it's not annoying. Paper pushing stuff is very annoying, and it can be very tedious depending on how dynamic your business model is. Like, if you just what's the basic business? If you just sell face masks, right? A specific face mask, specific color, you just sell that fabric, or, you know what I'm saying? You just sell a bottle of hand sanitizer, boom, you winning. You just got to list one item, one picture, one size, the price. But if you understand that the diversification matters, then you're gonna have some work on your hand. We sell kids shirts, and adult shirts. We sell numerous sizes, right? There's becoming this situation where we're running out of SKUs. So we now not only have to update pricing and links and all that stuff, but we now have to be able to acknowledge we are sold out of this, and this. So it's not a situation where somebody buys something and then they're seeking a refund because that product or service is no longer available currently, or it's no longer in SKU to be honored with the terms and conditions we're extending. So it's our job. It's our job to make it easy for somebody to be like, oh, I like that one and this one, but I'm torn. Then it is for this person to like this one and that one and buy the one just not there. And then we now have to say, hey, this isn't available. Would you like us to process it for an alternate substitute, or would you like a full refund? Because we didn't do our job as a business, right? Like, I don't want to have to clock in. 9 to 5 at nobody's job. I don't want to have a payroll requirement. I don't want to have to apologize or be politically correct when somebody needs to be put in their place. I like to be able to have the freedom to speak, the freedom to innovate, the freedom to be of assistance without knowing my role or knowing my place. Um, and that comes with running a business, but it also comes with all this paper pushing stuff that I would love to be able to avoid, but it also comes with the territory. We can outsource it and take on that added expense, which just means we really need to make sure we're on our P's and Q's so we can afford to pay for the added expense, or we can do it ourselves and we can put in the work to do it properly and effectively from jump. And I know a lot of people don't want to be disdained. They're just learning, blah, blah, blah. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is kryptonite. Wouldn't you say? Do you feel like when you didn't know what you didn't know, it was more helpful? It was more like relaxing to you, or do you feel like it added pressure to you that you now wouldn't go through? Like, you know how they say ignorance is bliss? Like they say that and it's supposed to say what you don't. Oh, they say ignorance is bliss, and they say what you don't know can't hurt you. You've heard that one, right?
Yes.
Do you believe that's true? You really do?
No.
We play too much. Yeah. So it's like it's one of those situations now where it's like what you don't know does the most damage to you. You just don't realize how extensive the suffering is. So we want to be very, very adamant and very, very proactive and just telling our own people all of the different ways that we can equip ourselves. Like you need a record keeping system. You can have paper and pen, you can do old school, or you can have something like a PayPal and a Square or Intuit as a part of your arsenal, and those things will actually allow you to make it through the whole year. It'll allow for you to pull the necessary records to see all the fees you paid over the years, see all the shipping expenses you have had over the year, see all the sales you made over the year, what percentage of that you actually saw in profit after all of that stuff. You can even do all your transactions through it. And then you now have expense reports for every aspect of your business. You now have it for your business supplies, your shipping supplies, your fuel, because the awesome thing about those systems is they work similar to your credit cards, which is why we put such an emphasis on credit cards. Your credit card will allow you to print an annual financial statement where it'll break down what percentage of transactions, the dollar amount plus the percentage of transactions that were made on it for specific stuff. So down to cell phone and utilities to business supplies to food. Yeah. The food one, once we seen that it broke it down to that extent, I think the food one was embarrassing one year because we had spent so much money eating out, down to groceries and things like that. It ends up doing a lot of your back end paper pushing logistical work on your behalf if you use those systems and you're intentional about using those systems. And then it puts you in a place. Selection is important and one's definitely. And so when you use those systems, it puts you in a place where you now don't have to figure it out, where you now can take advantage of a EIDL grant, where you now can take advantage of SBA doing these economic disaster loans, where you now can take advantage of PPP funding, right? Where you now have sources to be able to start reinvesting in rebranding your company or things of that nature, where you're now able to stuff where you're now able to take advantage of all of the holiday stuff to do your strategizing for next year. The last time we talked about it, and I still encourage it if everybody hasn't done it yet, this is the time of the year to buy all your business supplies needed for next year. The same way everybody under the sun has a sale on consumer stuff, like the stuff for you to just have around or waste money on. And I'm not trying to insinuate that everything does that, but the same way there's a lot of promotions and sales and incentives going on for that. There are tons of them going off for business suppliers, right? We bought out business cards and we are in love with our new business cards. You like the new business card?
Yeah.
It was good. You was pumped. You was real pumped about your little new business card case. Anywho, we bought our new business cards this time of the year. We bought new signage this time of the year. Oh, we do the apparel. So one of the things we do, even though we don't do any of the production process for our apparel, like we don't make the shirts, we don't fold the shirts, we don't package the shirts, that's all done from our actual distributor. We put our custom stickers on the shirts, right? Those custom stickers that allows for people to recognize our logo, right? And allows for people to know how they can connect with us, right? So that becomes an expense, but it becomes super cheap if we buy it this time of the year. We get it for 50% off. And then we got, if I'm not mistaken, we got like 12% back in cash back on it, right? Non-taxable, tax deductible. I mean, no, it wasn't taxable. Cash back through the methods we tell you to use this cash back are fully, they're not, you don't even have to claim them on your taxes. They're not taxable at all. And then we also, so we got the 12% back, we got the 50% off, and then we now had a new way to be able to rebrand ourselves and prepare to cut any potential high tax liability that we would get hit with next month had we not done that, right? Because now we have these added tax deductions to to take off before they start to look at our numbers, right? This is going to be the time of year we do a lot more sale driven stuff. So we're going to have higher numbers. And the goal is to get it to a place where we can implement plans with it before Uncle Sam is in our pocket. That is the number one goal. So we use Vistaprint. We are in the process of preparing the transition to a Black business, but right now we use Vistaprint. And between Vistaprint and the person asked what system we use for our business stickers. So we use Vistaprint. Can you get one maybe? Can you get one of the shirts with a sticker on it so I can show what they look like? And so we use Vistaprint. They extend. We use a plugin, which we put an emphasis on. Yeah, that's one. That's perfect. We use a plugin, which they we use the computer's built-in plugin, which automatically generates the best discount for us, right? So we were able to get 50% off for everything, right? We get our business cards for the year through that method. And then we also able to get, so they apply the discount, but they also activate the highest cash back returns for us, right? So 12% off, 12% of cash back, 50% off. We literally pay the same amount right now to get a year worth of supplies that we paid around the middle of the year just to get enough for a couple of months, you know? So this is the sticker that we use, because one of the things if you've gotten a shirt, you've seen it, but this is the sticker we use. And this sticker, it shows our company's logo. And then it says, thank you once again. Everything we show, we definitely always include thank you, but we also always put an emphasis on following us on social media, because we do share these tips. We are constantly sharing information with you. And so we want to make sure you're not just adding monetary value to our lives. We want to make sure we're adding tangible value to your life in ways outside of any materialistic items for you to be able to implement, thrive, and be self-sustainable on your own, right? So yeah. So on our sticker, we also acknowledge for people to follow us on MP. We acknowledge IG, but we also acknowledge MP. We are all about our own economic empowerment and self-sustainability. So we're always going to encourage you to learn about the Black social media platform and get on it. Because what I will say, right? I told you guys about the 12-hour flash sale, right? The 12-hour flash sale, 99% of our sales came from Melanated People's platform. Shout out to Melanated People. 99% of our sales for our 12-hour flash sale came from a all Black social media platform. They did not come from Instagram. They did not come from Facebook. They did not come from Twitter, despite the fact that we have much larger followings on all of those social media platforms, and thousands, hundreds of thousands of more Black people saw them on those social media platforms. But 99% of our sales came from the Black owned, operated, and occupied social media platforms, melanated people. And I'm going to acknowledge that because we know how to check the analytics. We do, not only do we do the experimental and event marketing, but we also have learned to do the actual digital ad and marketing tracking. So I have the numbers to back up what I'm saying from using Facebook's pixel to prove that Facebook was inadequate compared to just meeting our community where they are about things that we're about. Y'all know we're not like on no like rah rah, let's turn up type of culture anyway. We're very much so about our own self-sustainability and empowerment. And clearly it, despite the fact that it's not getting maximized exposure to a minimal group, it's true. We're making the moves and we're doing the work that we said we were about. And a lot of people are backing it up, right? We didn't sell shirts that was like about anything fun, so to speak. We sold shirts about investing, being Black and investing, being Black and economically empowered, being, what was the other, Black ownership, you know, those, yeah, like those were the shirts we sold as a part of this flash sale. And they sold by all Black social media platform. They outsold everywhere else by Black social media platforms. So shout out to my lady people. I love them. So yeah. So the things for today, if you are a Black business, well, not just a Black business, it applies to all of them, but y'all know how we feel. If you're a business and you are currently in a place where you are only accepting Cash App and cash, you need a merchant's account. There are tons of free ones. They only take a percentage of the sales, right? And there are kind of ways to scapegoat around that. If you want to find out some of those ways to scapegoat around it, please inbox us or or go through our consult site or something, because I don't want to put it on here and then they figure out a way to flag it. But there are free ways to even use PayPal and not so much Square, but PayPal, to be able to effectively process payments through their database and kind of skirt around as much of those fees as possible. And then secondly, get that merchant's account. It helps you more than it hurts you in every sense of the word. If you are a person who offers businesses, services, or products, and they do not require customization. By customization, I mean a like you charge based on design on a birthday cake or something. Like, even in those situations, I really want to say you can still have a catalog. And the reason why I say that is you can have your set price for what you charge for certain types of add-ons. So even in that situation, you could still have a concrete catalog where your stuff is itemized and identified, right? And in those situations, it's just the exact thing just added on, right? So for Thomas' birthday, I ended up making it because nobody could do it in time. But I wanted to get him a real estate and what's that sports team you like? Yeah, and Tar Heel themed birthday cake, right? Mm-hmm. Those are two clearly very specific things. And then I wanted to get his age on it, made out of fondant. And so I kind of made something like it. A lot of people quoted me. There was their base price for their cake based on the tiers, but then it was like, oh, based on every extra design, it's going to be this much more. Itemize, you don't have to be able to itemize crown add-on fondant. Like, no, I'm not telling you to go crazy to the point that you drive yourself insane with 5,000 things in your catalog. I'm saying in the event you offer 10 things and there's a base way you offer it, and for every additional is this much more, do that. But you should have a clear catalog where you process a transaction with somebody, and no matter when they go back and look at it, right? Because we use a lot of stuff for tax deductions. And this is a big part of why I'm putting the emphasis on this. Because if you're a Black business and you do Black business vendor events, and you do any type of networking or marketing events or types of events where you can also cross paths and allow for people to learn about your business, whether you're a actual vendor and part of the event, or whether you're just a participant in the event and you start talking to people about your business. In those situations, whatever you buy as a part of that transaction becomes tax deductible, but you need to know what section of your tax deductions is eligible to go in. So if I was talking to, right, Black Girl Chemist is over here, and if I'm not mistaken, she makes like soaps, right? Soaps or candles. I really don't want to mess it up, but it's one of those two things that's like sciencey. And and so in that situation, if I'm talking to her and I buy this, but I also was talking to her about my business, if I get a receipt from her that just says custom order, I have no idea what this was for. Like, technically, I can throw it under other with my tax deductions, but that can come off real red flaggish when it comes to having your taxes assessed. And the last thing I need is for anything to come off red flaggish, right? Because I understand the value of deductions. I understand that if I make $100,000 and I maximize my deductions, that I'm gonna be taxed for $20,000, right? Even though a lot of that was connected to a diverse number of expenses. So it's really important for you to have that itemized catalog where it's time for somebody else to want to support your business, but also be able to account for it accurately to be able to do so. I know it's a lot of guys out here that's like, no, I don't need the receipt. I need the receipt. I need to see what I bought, when I bought it, exactly what it was for, and how it ends up to these numbers. So I'm not looking at like a fool out here with $500 gone, and I can't tell you why. You know, um, so that's something that soaps. Oh, it was soaps. I was right. Black Girl Chemist. She makes soaps. I do remember that. Thomas would say something crazy every time he heard chemist. So that's what made me remember. So yeah. So that's really the thing for today. The goal is it's almost the end of the year, but we're in the final stretch. A lot of people are not proactive, as we know. There's a lot of sales still happening at this point of the year. So it is really important to make sure you make it as easy as possible for people to support your business and be able to drive other traffic in your direction to do the same, right? Thomas, remember that guy we met at the Melanated Exchange Marketplace? Yeah, we met a guy at the Melanated Exchange Marketplace that wasn't even a vendor. You guys know we do real estate investing, and we're working on a community development project. Well, I peeped this guy's outfit, and I knew he might be a good look. And so I asked him what he did. He wasn't prepared for me to ask him what he did. He's there to go see what he can buy. And so, why is this one frozen? Melanated people is frozen. And so it ends up turning out he was a subcontractor that, yeah, it's like frozen. He ended up, no, it's frozen. So he ended up being a subcontractor. He was a subcontractor that does his own, that does all his own, that does all projects on his own. And so we were having a conversation with him about, like, I asked him if he had a business card because I wanted to be able to hope to ultimately reach out to him after the facts, right? We're vendors at this event. I really am not in a place to be able to like go jot down the whole essay of information about him. And he was like, no. And so his response to us for why he didn't have business cards, he said he bought how many business cards? Wow. Yeah, like, oh, you said 5,000? He said, I bought 2,000 business cards. He said, I handed them out. I didn't get one call back. He said, but every person I've ever done work for has referred me to people, and that's what keeps me busy. Oh, Thomas, she said, what did you say about the chemist? She said, what did you say about the chemist? But no, you didn't. It wasn't bad. It was why? She's literally listening. You said something about, oh, chemists, they'll blow you up or something like that. Don't. He said, you don't mess around with people that know science. And so, and so and so he was talking about how, he had made all these business cards, distributed them. None of those people ever followed up with him. And I probably understand why. Real estate, especially repair work, things like that, you kind of need to see a person in action before you feel confident in bringing him on for a project, because that can be a very expensive mistake that you make if you don't. So anyway, he said majority of his referrals were by word of mouth, right? So instead of him having business cards, he just had pretty much his set price list to be able to send your way for all of the different things that he does and how much it will run you. Mm-hmm. And that was, in my opinion, more effective because, like, okay, I can see if you work for my budget. This is the goal of this project. This is the budget we have. This is how much I'm trying to be able to get done in a turnaround time. Do you work for my budget or not? I know your work is good. Like, I've seen it. I've seen the work done by whoever I cross paths with, but now I understand what your business model is and your payment model is. And those are the most important things for me in this industry. So my leg is sweating. That's crazy. So anyway, that's the name of the game. The name of the game is get your business payment model up, protect yourself, right? December, people are real quick to spend money they know they don't have. We only got a $600 stimulus coming. So even if people were spending on borrowed dollars because they was expecting the government to come through in the clutch with some like boom, boom, boom stimulus check because nothing had came out in months, they were thoroughly disappointed when they found that they was only getting $600 per. So in that situation, now it becomes really imperative for you not to be their backup plan. Oh, I'll just dispute that transaction. Well, it's like, no, this is what they bought from me. This is how much it costs. It's itemized and they signed for it. That now gives you that added protection that if anything pops off, it'll be secure, and the financial provider will most likely have to go back and forth with their customer about it versus just being some like out there outlandish. I have no idea what this was. It was a custom item. I don't know what they bought from me. They don't know what they bought from me, which is why it's up for dispute. The credibility isn't there on your side to defend you in that situation. And them chargebacks are real. You think the fee for a bounce check or overdraft is real? Oh, boo, them chargeback charges is real, especially if you sell high quality products or or you offer high quality services, like a couple of $75, $100, $60 chargebacks can take out a whole month of earning, So it is really important to protect yourself and put yourself in a position where you can win sustainably. Like, we don't just want to see you do good for a minute. We want to see you thrive and continue to build and progress on whatever you're working on. So that was that. I did want to ask this question. The blue pill, red pill question. You remember? Today's the day. So anyway, there was this red pill, blue pill question. That's the question being added on. If y'all have questions, please feel free to comment them. Comment any and all questions you have, because that's that connected to the merchant aspect. But me and Thomas, we started this thing where we now collect questions and we say, and the goal is to like go live like once a week, once a month, at some point, and answer all the questions on live. But this question really pumped me up. Yeah, it had me like really, really excited. So we're doing it now. We're gonna ask it on live so Thomas can answer as well as me. So the question was the red pill, blue pill question. What was it? You gonna ask it? You're not about to sit here like the.
And the red pill, you're about to 10 years old, you know everything that you know now. Or the blue pill, you go to 50 years old and you have $50 million.
Okay, so my decision out the gate was red pill. I'm going back in time. I'm not going forward. I know that sounds crazy. It's like 50 mil, that's 50 million. Well, let's be very clear. The information I now possess today could it make me a multimillionaire in a couple of months had I known this information, even if even if I just learned it right at 18. You know, we had that huge market crash, the depression. We had stocks drop down to like single. Amazon was a couple of dollars, like less than $10, couple of dollars back in 2010. Amazon, for anybody that doesn't follow the stock market, Amazon is over $3,000 a share today. Last time I looked, I need to double check. But Amazon is over $3,000 a share, right? And so that says if I was buying Amazon at like $8 or $5 or something, right? Everybody got some birthday money. They got a refund check. At that point, I was an undergrad in college in 2010. So I had my college refund check. I had thousands of dollars. And like every other stupid freshman, sophomore with no guidance and no financial literacy, bought dumb stuff, had an iPod Touch. Before that, that was before the iPhones came out, right? So Apple completely transformed as a company after iPhones came out, right? And Apple was only a couple of dollars then too. So you're talking about Amazon down in that single digit round, Apple down in that like double digit round, like around like the under $20 mark. Um, Tesla,
Yes.
Tesla was like a couple of dollars, like single digit dollar amounts. Tesla hit 2,500, technically speaking, right now. At Tesla did a 5-share stock split, right? Yeah, they did a 5-share stock split. As of today, a share of Tesla is $650. Do the math. Last year, like October, Tesla was like $200. Post stock split, that means multiply 650 times 5. So between last year at $200 to now 650 times 5, that's how much Tesla has just grown in the last year. I could have bought Tesla at $8. Do you understand how much money that translates to? Like millions or millions or millions. Like I just needed $1,000, $2,000, and I would be like hundreds millionaire. Not even a 50 million is pennies when you really realize how many ways it is to tap into wealth. The real estate market had crashed, right? If I knew what I knew now at 10, I was living in DC. There were abandoned buildings everywhere. DCHA, this DC Housing Authority, that's what DCHA is. They were doing lotteries, trying to give away abandoned houses to people. Okay. My grandma stays in a house right now worth over $1 million. I remember when that block was literally those houses, they were begging people to buy those houses for $1. $1, bruh. And let me be very clear. Investing has no age restrictions on it. None. My 8-year-old will tell you it has no age restrictions on it. So me knowing just a little bit of what I know now, you get what I'm saying? With that $50, like my uncles, right? I came from the weirdest Nigerian upbringing when it comes to my relatives that are here from Nigeria, where they were buying the J's. I remember the Jordans in the silver cases. One of those pairs of Jordans that dollar value could have easily flipped to be hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time I hit double digits. You get what I'm saying? Like, just know it's insane. Like, to know the things I know now, what? I would have had some LLCs. I would have been owning whole blocks uptown. Like, you couldn't have convinced what? Like, it's insane. It's the amount of information I possess now, it's like if I would have just started fresh out of high school with this information, I would have never made it to nobody's college. I would have never had no student loans. The banks were throwing money at you at that point, because that's when Wells Fargo was approving me for credit cards with no source of income. Literally. Like, I was right by Vegas and LA. Just knowing about the brand ambassador stuff would have changed everything for me. I would have literally hit Vegas for like a weekend, 2 weekends a month, and I would have been raking in hundreds and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars a month, just from the brand ambassador stuff I'm aware of now. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's that $50 million is just not worth it. It's not worth the time that I would have to sacrifice to hop 15 years just to get access to it. Mortality rates are decreasing, unfortunately. So I'm sacrificing 15 years of my life that it ain't no guarantee how many more I got after that. I'm not utilizing my knowledge and the information I possess and the resources I have at my disposal to really put myself in a place where it's sustainable. The credit, bruh, I would have been a credit guru to the roof. Like, what? Yeah, I would have owned whole cities at this point. Had I known what I know now at 10 years old, DC would have got gentrified, but it would have stayed Chocolate City. Believe that. It would have got reverse gentrified. Like, it would have been a massive Black Wall Street existing in Chocolate City with this hateful president. And what did you say?
Anyway, if I would have done,
it was red, blue. Blue is hopping to 45. Red is going back in time.
Now I would say I would go back in time. 2 years ago, I would have said I would take the red pill. At 45, 50,000 American.
Why?
Because I know what I know now. Now I know you could easily dispute stuff. I would have used my loan, got loan to pay credit, pay down credit. I didn't do. And I would know about 10 years, I would, especially in 09, I go shop around for properties now. I can see exactly when these, especially in Chapel Hill, I can see exactly when these houses were bought. They were bought at 10K, 5,000. You can see those houses are worth now worth triple. Then you can see as those houses, you can see who purchased it. It says, I can see who purchased those houses, and they're all old people that waited to the 09. It's new when the 09 class. They bought multiple properties. You can see who owns Chapel Hill and Carborough with the older generation. And then I can also see in the 09 class, that's when everything started getting gentrified. People just throwing properties. In the 09 situation, you could have bought a house. You need about $1,000, really. You could have, by that time, public housing, people were selling the houses easily. A block could have been bought for at least 10,000. You could have bought a block, 10,000 Chapel Hill real easily.
Yeah.
They would. And then, as I was 10 years old, I probably would ask a relative, hey, you got a credit card. Can I be put as an authorized user?
Authorized user.
On the class, so when I turn 18, my credit score will be in the 700, 750, whatever. Yeah. I would have invested. I would have not went to college. Actually, I probably would have went to community college easily. I wouldn't have any loans.
I would have got trades. I don't even think I would have went to college.
I would learn some type of skill, a small skill. I would learn some type of skill. Cutting grass, that would be. Or cut hair, something. I would ask these old people what you do. How did you get the shot? I could have, if you know, back in 09, Chapel Hill, Chapel Hill now, but she's back then. It's been a whole different way.
Like, I feel like you see so many, right? The more you get into real estate, the more it's easier for you to see how an investor purchased somebody's grandma's house from them.
It was probably bought in 09, 010. And you can see how much the property tripled. There's nothing around it. They just threw up this apartment right here. They threw up this Walmart. You look over there, I know about Walmart. There's the guy selling the land over there. 1 point.
Yeah.
It's less than an acre.
It's not even an acre. And he asked for over $1 million.
$1 million. Right? He probably paid what, $10 on it? And he asked for $1 million. We could do that because what's around Walmart over there? It's Footway. There's Rogers Wireless. There's dealerships over there.
All stuff that's been built in the last 5 years. It's not even like it's been around for a long time. Like everything that increased that property value so drastically, and it's still inflated. But he has all of the things happening around him at his disposal, right? It's raw land. It's an acre of raw land surrounded by tons of shopping, surrounded by tons of new businesses that have migrated their dealership with them walking his sidewalks established in that area. He's betting, and this guy don't even live in the city.
Right.
Remember when we called him about that land? We called the guy about the land. And I have the newer version of my city zip area code on my phone. And he was like, "Oh, he said, "Oh, where are you guys located?" He didn't recognize the area code for the city he owns land in. That it's like just a couple of cities over from him, you know? So it's things like that where other people see the value before you do. Now I'm at a place where I'm so receptive of learning, but even more so, I'm so receptive of doing things that I was never taught to do or exposed to do by any personal point of reference.
And they always like to teach the younger generation, so they want to fall into that. Not say fall into a trap, but hey, be more informed of what you can do.
Yeah, the bootstrapping thing.
They say, hey, I know in high school they say, hey, you need to go to 4 year school. You need to graduate, go to.
Because they say you got to have at least a bachelor's to get hired at this point.
Now you can get a bachelor's degree. Now
that's the minimum you can have to even qualify to get hired in most places. And the problem with that verbiage in itself is what it's like they're telling you prepare to work for somebody. Like that's literally the premise behind that. It's like it takes you need at least a 4-year degree to get hired most places at this point, right?
People that have the qualifications to do that job, but they don't have respect for that,
or they're overqualified. You remember those people?
I mean, they tell when I graduated, I want to apply for a job. I'm gonna qualify for a simple job.
And that's the crazy part. But that's what you need just to think about getting hired. Meanwhile, I'm going to say majority of professions as a business owner, don't require that level of academic degrees to even pursue it.
You can think how much you take out $100K in loans just to get a $40K salary,
which is crazy because you need to be able to live. You need to be, your lifestyle needs to require you to, your lifestyle as a worker and as a renter requires you to make at least 3 times whatever the financial demands of your lifestyle are.
Then you gotta work. What performance you gotta do? You get a promotion. You gotta work 5 years to get a promotion, 6 years to get a promotion.
Or they do pay freezes. That's what did it for me.
Freeze, like some people didn't get their what was it?
Their bonuses, their salary reviews.
Some people lost $50K, and
that was the other thing. When the flash crash in the stock market happened, a lot of people's retirement plans almost tanked, right? Because it was a situation where, right, back in the day, people that encourage you to work for somebody are people who were 9 times out of 10 are people that were raised in a generation where you got a good job, you had some type of trade, and you were able to work in that trade until the end, and then you got a pension right? A guaranteed amount of money paid in retirement for the rest of your life.
Or
that changed. Our generation don't work pension jobs. Our generation works 401k jobs. What are 401ks? 401ks are you investing, are you taking a portion of your money and your boss may or may not match it to actually invest into the market. A money manager is taking that money, investing in the market on your behalf, and hopes to make you enough money to be able to live off of in retirement sustainably. But the market crashed in March, a flash crash. And a lot of people who were preparing to retire in June and May, terrified. A third, a fourth of all that they had in their 401k was wiped out for a period of time. And if they were under the worst type of money managers who panic sold, they lost all that money, right? Because a lot of people panic sold because they didn't understand what was happening in the market. So they weren't there for the recovery, right? It hit new all-time highs 4 months later. But if you were under a 401k, not a self-directed 401k, under a 401k with a money manager dictating what was happening with your finances, then you were in a situation where you took a 70, 80% loss. And that was your retirement. So you now got to, and they did not recover that if they hopped out to try to redelegate it somewhere else real quick, 9 times out of 10. So you were in a situation where you now had to reassess how you would be able to afford to live the quality of life you lived off of your 401k. Because you weren't in control of how you made the moves financially for your future.
And also got the mindset of what the older generation said before. I said, hey, I did this, but I just figured it out. You just gotta figure it out. You can young people can help each other figure it out, not just do it by yourself.
The bootstrapping it.
How they did it was hard. Why would you want younger generation to do the same thing you did? How hardship you did? All the hardship and struggle, sweat and tears. Okay. Instead of you giving them the guidance and the pathway, not telling them how to do it, you give them the guidance and the pathway to take to be able to do it for themselves in the easier way than the hardship way.
And I think it's the financial security thing. Like if you work for somebody and it's only one of this position at a job, in the event is between you knowing how to do it, you're young and in your prime, and you're able to commit 10 years, and me knowing how to do it, and I only got 5 good years left. I don't want to risk my pension for you to learn my job and outperform me. So it's like I'm going to be like, oh, just take some time, think about it, pray on it, blah 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 blah, because that financial insecurity pops up in me that like I need to make it to the end of this. You know, when you meet a lot of people that work them good government jobs, they there forever. And it's because of that financial security of being okay in the long haul. So I encourage everybody, like, don't give yourself a glass ceiling. Like a glass ceiling can be your biggest downfall. Like it's fine to work for somebody if your passion is to be a doctor or be a lawyer or be a teacher, you know, by all means, I'm not going to discourage that. But if you're in an arena where you have the ability to take more control, and own your potential and grow your capacity, by all means, I strongly encourage, despite the fact how tedious it can be, how scary the lack of security of being guaranteed this amount every day for coming in, or for doing this work can be, I still encourage people to do it, because here's the thing. We have somebody currently president of the United States of America who has bankrupted himself 6 times, who has no political experience outside of this current term he's serving,
Mm-hmm.
and who clearly does not possess a lot of the qualifications
Mm-hmm.
for the job he is currently holding, right? And so, because of that, it should allow you to understand that there are things that you don't know
Mm-hmm.
that allows for somebody to do something like that successfully, right? This man, the salary of a president is not that great, but I'm gonna tell you, this man is eating off of his presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he maintained a lot of the same habits he had in business as a president, and he profited a lot off the backs of certain things. And if you think about it strategically, he now has private security for the rest of his life for free off of the role he took on for 4 years, whether he was good at it or not.
You know that.
So he just cut a whole expense, right? He increased his net worth because every time he went to one of his places, it was certain laws in place that mandated it be done and conducted in a specific way. Certain types of security, certain types of proximity to him, yada yada yada. And guess what he did? He collected checks for the use of all of those things that were required to uphold the responsibilities for him. And he collected those checks from the government because his business exists separately from him. So I encourage everybody, be more strategic, make the necessary moves. We love you guys to life.
Mm-hmm.
And just a reminder, like I did mention, I'm just going to acknowledge it again. We did roll out a flash sale into the end of the month where it will allow for you to purchase any of our shirts for the normal event price, and shipping is $8. It's priority shipping, and all orders ship within 24 hours or one business day of being placed. So yeah, look over every platform. I think the only place we haven't put it over yet is Melanated People, and that'll go up tonight. But yeah, every single one of our shirts, kids and adults, if we have it in inventory, presently have it in inventory, you can purchase it for our event prices, which is somewhere from $5 to $7 less than the normal site price with our bonfire shop. And it's priority shipping. So if you buy it tonight, it'll ship tomorrow, and you'll have it most likely before Christmas or Kwanzaa or whatever you celebrate.
And make sure you look at the message of what it's saying. Yes, Black Owned Shit. Everybody might have their own definition of what it is. Look at the message we put up there, and you can decide what it means to you.
Yeah, because all of our shirts do have meanings. Like, we are not an impulse buy company. Me and him were talking about this the other day. We are not about immediate gratification. Like, that's cool. It's cool to like what you eat, like what you do, yada yada yada. We are not an immediate gratification type of company. We're about everything being sustainable, right? Which is why we put such an emphasis on things that really shifts yourself into a gear that you can't come out of. Like, if anything, it just picks up momentum, right? So ownership. And the amazing thing about ownership, it's not just about real estate, despite the fact that we're heavy in real estate. It's also about just being able to take control of your environment, being able to own what you have going on in your life, whether it's a business, whether it's an initiative, whether it's an effort, whatever it is, right? Breaking the cycle. Like, it's so amazing. I love when my daughter wears the shirt because she's the epitome of what it represents for me. And it's just like there's been such a drastic shift to the narrative and in my legacy with my child. She is everything that I wanted to avoid, but had to go through to genuinely learn what I didn't know that I didn't know. For her to now normalize it as her reality.
Like, we grew up in how, like, knowing about credit, in that cycle, so that let the kids learn earlier. Money's not taught in high school. They give you the basics, but you learn more. So you can progress.
Investing, like, there's so many ways you can invest that it's like when somebody feels like they can't afford to make that shift to start to become an investor in life, like I I want to have to remember that sometimes conditioning can be very overwhelming to your faith. But then secondly, I have to like really get it outside of the suit and tie, you dress up and you go here and you do it this way type of state of mind, for people to understand that you can effectively invest no matter where you are in life. I know people that only invest wearing t-shirts and jeans or sweats. Like, I know people that have never dressed up a day in their lives and they are effective investors, like straight up doing all the investing in pajamas in their in their bedroom, you know what I'm saying? Like, never even change outfits, and they're investors. Like, investing has so many ways you can do it, personally, but also towards a bigger picture or towards your family or your legacy. So investing is one of those things that I'm probably the most passionate about, because there are no age restrictions on it. And there's so many ways you can effectively do it to change the narrative and the entire direction your life and everything connected to you can go in. And then the final one is economic empowerment. Like, it is so great to feel passionate about all these things. You know, we all want to see things progress. We all want to see things get better. If you are a Black person, you have witnessed something or you have been impacted by something that just makes no sense for us to go through. So we are really, really big on putting an emphasis on the fact that some things can change if we just have the necessary resources and information to take control of the entire situation and really be able to structure it the way we need for us to exist in the set of circumstances and a state of being that we require for to be able to sustainably progress, be able to have peace of mind, be able to be healthy and loving and supported and safe, you know. And so those are a lot of the things that we think about. And when we put an emphasis on economic empowerment, the reason why we say that and say, instead of saying wealthy or millionaire, is because to be economically empowered is to actually be able to do something with that money that has significance and changes reality for the better, whether it's your own personal reality or your whole legacy or those surrounding you. Like, I value being in a place where my heart can lead my decisions more often than not. To be able to be like, oh, I want to do this for them. Oh, we can just give them this. And granted, if I wasn't in a place where I was economically empowered, I have to be like, I don't know, that's a L we can't afford to take. I'm as logical as I am. I'm also very, very passionate about what I believe in. And I'm very adamant in making sure to uphold that, not just for myself, but externally, whether it benefits me or not. And economic empowerment for me is being able to effectively sustain doing that. I don't want to be able to give you $10 today, but then it's like I'm broke for the next 3 months.
That won't be our last $10. We have our last $10.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like even if it's the last I have on me today, I'm 100% sure it won't be the last I ever have until the day I die. The only thing that can keep me from acquiring more is death. Because I possess so many resources, I possess so much information, I have so many different methods I can use to tap back into these things. So when we wear our shirts and when we tell people about our shirts and when we expose this brand, I don't want people to rock this because it's trending. I never want to trend. And a part of me not wanting to trend is because I realize that we are still from we're from a group that's not getting a minimal group that's not getting maximized exposure. And while that is unfortunate, I believe a shift is happening, you know. Yeah, we do. We offer a life course, a live virtual course that covers pretty much it's our life course. It could be longer and it could be more of them, but quite frankly, the only teacher from our team is him, and he doesn't teach when it comes to our business. No, I'm saying when it comes to our business, you don't teach. Okay, but he doesn't.
That's the side. No, I'm not the sub. In case you need me, I can sub in.
So anyway, he doesn't really like to have to do the constant engagement that comes with teaching the type of information that we teach. So we have the one course, and we just do the consults to really personalize all the added information you need to learn from there. But the life course is a starting point for anybody. I don't care what economic state you're in. I don't care what age range you're in. I don't care what background you're from. It is a type of course that will help you build from wherever you are, no matter where you are. Because you're either going to take something from it, you're going to have to implement certain things, or you're going to learn something that you weren't even aware of being a factor for you, or you're going to now implement something differently than that you might have heard of or you might have knew about, but you didn't really grasp it or comprehend how effective it could be for what's going on in your life. It's about getting all us to a level playing field. And I'm gonna say it now, like I always said, like we are nobody's competition. Like there's no competition when it comes to educating and equipping our community to progress collectively. We don't want to thrive at the expense of you. We want to help empower as many people that want to elevate to be able to together, because we can progress in two methods. We can progress and leave everybody behind and allow for a target to be placed on our back, or we can progress together and now have a collective of like-minded people who are able to help sustain the culture and beliefs that we all possess and we want to see in our reality, like safety, like peace of mind, like our children to be able to just be children and exist in that innocence. I'm 100% sure I will never meet a Black parent who wants to have to teach their kids how to talk to the police, who doesn't want to have to be sure that they don't dress like this or move like this unexpectedly in certain situations, who have to be aware that they may not be able to do what their friends of other ethnic groups can do. And they need to be very careful of what they do with their hands in certain situations. Like it's so much that has been normalized as cultural practices, but because you're a minimal group you're a very small group in an environment that has to coexist the way it does, because it's not enough people progressing collectively. So everything we do is, it's not about the instant gratification. While there will be times where we see it and experience it, it's about sustaining it. Even the good things, we want them to be able to be long standing and capable of existing as traditions if you want them to, right? And so everything we're about is equipping you to be able to make those moves and then normalize it. Sometimes it's not a situation where other people have no interest in knowing it. They just don't know anybody that knows it to start to learn. So I love to wear our ownership shirts and our investing shirts and the breaking the cycle shirt, because it allows people to be like, what do you mean breaking the cycle? Like it allows for people to really have to put in effort and time to think about or ask questions about what your refs, like economic empowerment, like that's different. Like what's the difference between that and getting the bag? Well, I'll tell you, you know? And so it triggers a different way of thinking in every engagement. And it's always awesome when people stop us to ask questions. That pumps me up the most, because it's like, I like unsolicited questions. That means I've triggered something that stimulated them to want to know or understand or seek out perspective that they may not have had access to, you know. So we love you guys to life. I know I said it once, but I'm saying it for good this time. This live went past the time I expected. We try not to go over an hour because it's Monday. But
well, thank you all.
Thank everybody for attending. We love you guys a lot, like seriously. And we're gonna try to be consistent with this. Y'all know our whole team hates social media, so we're working real hard. We're working really, really hard to stay active and engaged. And if I gotta do it, they gonna be pulled into it too. Y'all will eventually meet Shola. I know y'all haven't seen him on the live yet, but he does exist. He's in the process of working on an acquisition for us in Maryland and Baltimore. So that's taking up his time. We're going to give him that as a benefit of the doubt until it's done. And then we're going to force him to join too. So yeah, if you guys want to get any of the shirts, this is the time to get it. We're going to, tonight, apparently we have to update it because we are sold out of a number of sizes and messages. Apparently we are out of all large Black ownership shirts. of every kind. I'll double check it, but they'll be up. The database will be updated today. I know we are out of all small kid sweatshirts. Every single small kid sweatshirt, no matter what's the messages, those are completely sold out. People are the kids, apparently. And I know we're sold out of a couple of other ones. I know we're sold out of large and extra large Black ownership sweatshirts as well. But yeah, y'all can get those prices. The links have been updated everywhere. The only place it hasn't been is Melanated People, but we will get on that tonight. But yeah, that's the way to go. If y'all want those, if y'all are more local, we're just gonna drop them off to you. It's no point in shipping them just for USPS to move slow because they know it's just down the street. So anyway, love you guys to life. Have a good night. And thank you guys for tuning in to our lives. I know they're not like fun and turn up, but we appreciate it anyway.
Not all.
Oh, look at you talking.